And welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. And we are really excited to be live here on the MotorMotion E-Series YouTube today. Welcome in to a fantastic evening of racing with the MotorMotion E-Series GT3 Championship, sponsored by Player1 Sim Gear. And we are at, as you can see, the beautiful Americas. We've flown all the way over to the continent, and we are good to go racing tonight at Laguna Seca for the 5th round of the GT3 Championship. And we've had a 2-week break. We're coming back fresh off the heels of a little break and the start of the TCR Cup. It's all going to start going down here at the beautiful track soon enough. Lots of race info for you guys, and a little bit of a switch up on platform. We're supposed to be live on Twitch as well today, but unfortunately we're not able to make that work today. But it is what it is. Beautiful Americas. The teams have landed. The pit lane is open. The teams are out having some practice, and looking forward to this very, very much. So welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. My name is George Cooke, also known as Crazy Good Kung Fu on Twitter, and I'll be your race host tonight as we bring you the live coverage and the live action from the USA with the MotorMotion E-Series GT3 Championship. We'll talk through the entry lists momentarily for both Group A and Group B. Tonight's lobby that you are watching at the moment is, in fact, Group B, as we do head over to Laguna Seca now for a little bit of a track overview, and you'll see some beautiful screens coming from us in the live shots from track. A little bit sunny at the moment, though. The cloud has already started to come over, and we'll be seeing if the weather holds. Will there be rain? We don't think so. There's nothing on the weather radar at the moment, but very excited to bring you what is going to be an incredibly great evening of racing GT3 cars at Laguna Seca. It doesn't get much better than that, so make sure you've got all your beautiful American-style drinks. Crack them open. Get ready, buckle in, because we are about to get started and transition towards giving you guys some race info. We're going to be looking at what's happened before, what's happening now in terms of the standings in the championship, the driver championships, of which we have 4 divisions. We'll be commentating on 2 of those today, the Pro-Am Championship and the Am Championship for Group B tonight. So, like I said, welcome, welcome, welcome. It is going to be an absolutely incredible evening of racing. Do let us know where you're tuning in from around the world, as we are always interested to know where our viewership is coming from. And we'll talk a little bit about our sponsors shortly. And after that, we'll be going through all of the race information, and then live on track as we get ready for our 20 minutes of qualifying, and then 60 minutes at this beautiful, beautiful race. As you can hear, we are now, in fact, on track. Going to be going through a bunch of information, and as I said before, this is the Group B broadcast, so welcome in. This was supposed to be going live out on Twitch as well. Unfortunately, that has not worked out for us tonight. A couple of small technical hitches in the broadcasting area. Fortunately, not able to take us live on Twitch today, but we are live, in fact, on YouTube. We'll be bringing you all the action in this round 5. So it's 60 minutes today at Laguna Seca for the main event. Stop tires are required today. No switches up or late switches in the requirements by our race organizers at the moment. And we are over here in the USA, the beautiful, beautiful USA. And of course, a shout out to our Group A lobby as well, hosted by the one and only Nick Pautasso and Joel Austin. Check them out on YouTube as well, on the same channel that you're listening into right now, and that is the MotorMotion E-Series YouTube channel. So last time out at Catalonia, round 4, that was 2 weeks ago. So quite a little bit of a break for the teams as we fly over from Europe all the way over to the Americas, and quickly running through the results last time. A good split between the Platinum and the Elite level drivers. And 22 points, a win for Mr. Hoskins, Sir YC. The Scarborough Motorsport bagging a ton of points. And then for the Gold Championship, Scott Barlow for Black Rose Racing taking out the victory and 8th place overall in the race. The driver of the day was Richard Foster for Diffusion Race Engineering, also known as Rolls. And starting on P4, he decided to run long. He had a bold strategy. It was a risky strategy, but he knew what to do, and he managed to grab the lead. Once the 2 stoppers completed, held it to the closing stages when his tires gave out, almost pulling off an amazing win. Comments there from the one and only Joel Austin. So here are the standings for Group A at the moment. Morgan Davey, a privateer, formerly in the gold lobby. That's the purple guys on the right-hand side of the screen. Formerly in that division, upgraded a couple of races ago. Close behind him is Lewis Atkinson, HC Lewis, a well-known name. 38 points for him. And then in the gold championship, Scott Barlow, a sizable lead over the Kesby in Scarborough Motorsport in second place. But here's the Group B that we're looking at today. We'll be commentating on. From Catalonia, we had Matthew Joinson. He had a fantastic run. Race victory for him and Scarborough Motorsport. A close battle with Dean van der Zandt, who came second place. And our driver of the day was Monica Camilleri for NED Racing, who did a superfluous drive all the way through the grid to really, really bring things together. So great job by her all the way through the grid. Oh, I do believe our music is cut out for a moment. It'll be back, I'm sure, in a second. But nonetheless, Ethan Simmons, our race replacement, so a reserve driver for Diffusion Race Engineering, bagging the overall victory in the AM class at Catalonia. Of course, we were running with the mediums as well, so it was a very tricky race, and strategy played a big part in it as well. And we've got, of course, he'll only get half points for his team this time round because he was a reserve driver, and I believe he has been brought in once again for Diffusion Race Engineering as Robbo, not able to appear here today at the Americas. So our driver of the day last time round was Monica Camilleri, and she had a great day out, qualifying in third. She stayed out of trouble, managed her strategy to perfection, and was able to take third place overall, not only in the race, but in the results for the Pro-Am class. So well done to her. So these are the standings as it is right now, folks. Dean van der Zandt still with a healthy lead out in front for WTCR. Followed closely by Sean Parker behind him, our privateer, and a little bit of a late entry into the overall season. 49 points for him. Third place to Matthew Joinson, Scarborough Motorsport. Now he's going to be looking to get up the leaderboard today and close that gap to Dean van der Zandt, who's been his close rival in previous races. In fourth place, Monica Camilleri, that fantastic third place finish, bagging her a ton of points last time out. Fifth place to Jeff Bruin for Gridline Racing, 25 points for him. Sixth place, Matt Kutcher for 24 points for him, Black Rose Racing Mercedes. Aiden Sampson in seventh place, Hellblazer, also from Diffusion Race Engineering, 17 points for him. And last but not least, in the Pro-Am category is Ricky Rick, Mad Rick from Strike Racetech on 9 points. In the AM Championship, so if I mix up AM and bronze and Pro-Am and silver, you'll have to forgive me. The silver championship is Pro-Am, the bronze championship in the red there is the AM class. So leading at the moment is Wade Rushton for Gridline Racing, 68 points, and a good finish for him last time out. A couple of not satisfactory race ends at the end of the day for him, so he'll be looking to make a big comeback and maintain and extend his lead today. Dylan Scarborough, the team owner of Scarborough Motorsports, on 53 points, right behind him. Third place, Richard Robinson, Robbo. Now, he's not going to be racing today, Robbo. Unfortunately, not able to make it out here to Laguna Seca, so Ethan will be taking his place, our reserve driver, rookie 98. Troy Britnell in fourth place in the Mercedes of the Black Rose Racing team. 39 points for him currently, so the top four not separated by much. And in fact, the top five not separated by much, because we can't go far without mentioning Karma Foster of NED Racing. She's had a great season so far, looking to continue pushing as we get into the latter half of the championship. Chris White, sixth place for him, 25 points, WTCR Racing. And last but not least, with a good finish last time out, Tim Piers for Strike Racetech on 19 points. So the team championship, this is where the real points really do matter. Combined points from all the divisions, platinum, gold, silver, and bronze. And at the moment, jumping into the lead is Scarborough Motorsport. And they'll be very happy, the New South Wales-based team on 203 points. They're followed reasonably closely by Black Rose Racing, who were ahead at Catalonia, but unfortunately some poor race results ended up dropping them back to second place. The South Australian team on 188 points. Third place, WTCR, that's World Touring Car Racing from South Australia. Wade Von Duve is a fellow commentator sometimes, but we've got 145 points for them, equal to fourth place at the moment, Gridline Racing of Tasmania. Fifth place, it's Diffusion Race Engineering, our only New Zealand-based team in the GT3 Championship. 141.5 points, and the 0.5 there comes from the half points from their reserve driver last time out, taking the reserve driver option again in Ethan. Sixth place goes to NED Racing. They're looking for a strong comeback this weekend. Their car, the Aston, has not been particularly powerful. Certainly at Catalonia, we saw that it was struggling quite a lot on its pace, and I hope they are able to make a good comeback this time round. And last but not least, it is Strike Racetech falling off the back of the main pack of teams, but a few good results and they could be right back in it. So, fifth race of the season we are on at the moment, so we're almost at halfway through the GT3 Championship. Next time out, we're still in America for 2 more races. 16th of May, Watkins Glen. It's going to be absolutely fantastic around there. Great high-speed track for the GT3 cars. But for now, we are at Laguna Seca. The weather here today, like I said earlier, started off a bit sunnier early in the day, but the cloud has rolled in. So we are at the C04 conditions today, cloudy and chilly. Not particularly warm out there, and I am lucky to be in the commentary box where I don't have to wear any kind of cold weather gear, luckily. And of course, the guys on the grid will be wrapped up in their heat-proofed, safe race suits, so they won't have to worry about the heat either. But the guys on the pit lane will be freezing cold, so we'll see how they go. Maybe some complaints coming out of the pit lane later on in this race. And the entry list today in the 132 car, Dean van der Zand, the the Jaguar for WTCR. Chris White, his teammate in the 73 car. The 18 car of Jeff Bruin for Gridline Racing, followed by the 88 car, his teammate Wade Rushton. Aiden Sampson in the 21 car for Diffusion Race Engineering. Robbo not racing today, but his replacement in the 20 car will be Ethan Simmons, rookie 98 for Diffusion Race Engineering. The 28 car of the Mercedes of the Strike Racetech team, Ricky Rick and his teammate Tim Pears in the number 9 car. The 426 car of Matt Kutcher, some good results for him recently. Black Rose Racing's Mercedes and his teammate in the 55 car, Troy Britnell. The 777 car of Matthew Joinson leading in the Pro-Am Championship in terms of well, actually, he's not leading, sorry, he's in 3rd place at the moment, but his teammate Dylan Scarborough and team owner in the 22 car will be very, very stoked with Matthew's performances so far this season. The 502 car of Monica Camilleri, NED Racing, the beautiful pink and purple liveries they have, and the 666 car summoning the energy of the devil number, and NED Racing as well. It's Karma Foster. Our privateer Sean Parker chops in the 83 car, and of course myself, George Cooke, our commentator today in the commentary box. So just to finalize before we jump onto track and start looking at what these guys are doing, the Silver Championship drivers in the green, the Pro-Am class, and the Bronze Championship in the red there, the amateur class. So before we get started, folks, we're going to take a small break as I get my vocal cords in the right position to do the next hour and a half or so of commentary. We've got about 5 minutes until our qualifying session kicks off. 20 minutes around here at Laguna Seca to set the qualifying grid for the beginning of our 60-minute endurance race. We'll be back with you soon. Stay close, stay there wherever you are. Enjoy, and let's go racing. Okay, welcome, and do let me know in chat if anyone is in there at the moment. Please do let me know in chat if we are coming through cleanly in terms of our audio. It's always helpful to know, and if you are viewing and seeing stuff on the screen, that would be most appreciated. If you could jump into chat very quickly and give us a little yes in chat, that would be really appreciated, just to make sure that we're all set and everyone can see and everyone's happy with the audio levels. This is our first time streaming live the Group B races to YouTube, so very important that we get this right, otherwise we'll be in a bit of a spot of bother, I suspect. But yes, here we are out on track and on board. I'm not 100% sure who we're actually on board with right now. I don't recognize the livery, so what we're going to do is we are going to bring up some of the race information just to make sure we know who this is. And Strike Racetech looking like they're going for a different livery at the moment, which is quite an interesting choice. I do like that blue and yellow, very indicative of Subaru, actually. So very nice colors there. I'm really looking forward to seeing what they're going to be able to do. The pit entry here, very, very tricky. We've got a long race to go, and ahead of us is a proper 3.6 kilometer track. There are 11 turns in total. Of course, the corkscrew, which we all know well. It's a bit of a tricky one, especially in these GT3 cars. They'll be relying on that aerodynamics of the car as much as possible. So hopefully they'll be able to navigate that with some expediency, is my hope. Joshua Burke, thank you very much in chat, telling us all is well on stream. Excellent, mate. I really appreciate that. Of course, it is afternoon here at Laguna Seca. It's a beautiful afternoon in some ways, although not the kind of weather that we're used to over here at the track. Usually it's a bit sunnier, right smack right in the middle of the desert, technically speaking, so we should be getting a bit more sun, but no, today it's the opposite of that. It is cloudy and chilly. Not the most pleasant conditions out there on track. I can feel the air coming through into the commentary box. Not particularly pleasant at the moment. And of course, we are in California in the United States. As we do see a car run straight into barrier there. Our first victim. That is a tricky one, that corner. Very, very tricky. And I'll just bring up some more information on my track guide here. So that was turn 5. Going up the hill, very tricky corner to get right. Of course, you know, running up the hill, you want to get on the power early. But it can cause some pretty serious oversteer if you're not being careful. As you see there, the gravel traps are going to be dangerous today, everyone. Everyone's getting caught out already. Cold conditions, so the tires are going to be tricky to get into the right range today. And that's not going to make it a particularly pleasant experience for the guys on track. It'll be great for us, of course. Everyone who's in chat, welcome in. Robert, lovely to have you in here, mate. It'll be good fun for us watching today, because there's going to be lots of antics on track, I suspect. But hopefully not too many. Fingers crossed. The beautiful red of Rody. Rody's part of Strike Racetech. Looking to get a bit of a bounce back this time out in their Mercedes car. They've had some pretty poor results recently, and that has unfortunately really just popped them down a little bit in the championship. They seriously do need some results here today. Halfway through the GT3 Championship now, and they are well off the pace of the rest of the teams. That's right, Robert Revs, I do know exactly who you are, but I appreciate that. Yelling from the grandstands. In fact, I can see you. There you are in the commentary, from the commentary box. I can see you in the stands, waving like crazy, wearing a crazy banana-shaped hat. I hope no one's going to be throwing bananas onto the track, because we certainly don't need any. There's enough gravel here to turn these cars around, and yeah, like I was saying, the chilly nature of the track is going to be very tricky for the teams. The prediction here for strategy, of course, they've got to run on the softs today. That is the mandatory tire. But tire wear can be very, very tough at this track, especially through the high-speed turn 6, which is coming up to now, and down through the rainy corners, which I believe I'm pronouncing correctly. Again, we're in an English-speaking country, so hopefully I'm getting the names of these corners correct. The first corner, actually, the double right-hander, double apex right-hander, is actually called the Andretti corner. So if you didn't know, the Andretti corner, one of my favorite parts of the track, actually, that lovely hook in. You sort of go wide, miss the first apex if you can, jump in, turn in, gets tighter and tighter, and out towards turn 3. It's a beautiful section of the race course, and yeah, I think we'll be seeing some people struggle maybe getting into that corner as we, as we see Dean go absolutely wide there. Right, folks, it is time for qualifying, so we are going to go out on track momentarily. So keep your hats on. The breeze is going. We will display all race information here today, and 20 minutes of qualifying has now begun. We've got some comments in the chat looking at the Mercedes looking very clean. I will agree that the cars are certainly looking clean, but they won't be for too long if they keep going onto the gravel. A very long, tricky pit exit here out into the racing line, and it can make for some real antics as people get back out on track. But the guys here, of course, in the MotorMotion E-Series, we all know that it's a non-contact sport. They've all been informed on what qualifying behavior is expected of them. So in qualifying, you're not allowed to use slipstream of another car. if at all possible. Obviously, minor slipstream incidents may occur at some point, but we are certainly going to be interested to see who can put it round the fastest here at Laguna Seca. I'm putting some money here on Dean van der Zandt and Matthew Joynson being quite quick today. The Porsche here can be very, very quick, although I think, you know, without the longer straight, some of the advantage of the cars that have the better top speed is going to be neutralized. Maybe potentially favoring the Aston Martins, maybe the Mercedes as well, although we do understand that the Mercedes is not the best on its tires. We've seen that in the last 4 races. Very tricky for them to keep the tires alive without a lot of degradation. And yeah, here at Laguna Seca, degradation is one thing that there is a plenty of. We don't want to be seeing Mercedes run too low on those tires, because you are, you know, as soon as you start losing grip here, you are going to be going off into the gravel. That's no fun. It's going to really compromise you. We do see a little bit of a train going on here. The rookie, Ethan, looking to get past Monica Camilleri, Super VT 2000, who goes, oh, right deep into the bloody corner. Crikey. A little bit late on the brakes with PLE Black Friday, Matthew Joynson ahead of them into the Porsche. So already a few antics going on down here on track, but they've got 20 minutes, so no one needs to take too many risks in this qualifying session. If they're taking too many risks, you could risk putting yourself back in the pits a few too many times. Of course, they'll want to be doing low fuel runs, so most of the competitors will be going out on a sort of probably about 40 to 50% of the fuel. You can always go in for another pit stop, of course. No resetting back to the pits, if at all possible. The GT7 platform does allow for that, and ironically, I have been actually caught out by that in my own league races recently, getting a little bit of a penalty in qualifying. It does happen, unfortunately. So going on board with Squirrel 18, that's Jeff Bruin of Gridline Racing. The BMW could be quite strong around here as well. Hard to say until we start seeing some lap times put in. They're coming around to set their first qualifying laps now. Let's see what the pecking order is going to be after the first couple of laps. And Madrick setting a 23.0 there. That's a good time. Puts him initially up into second. And that's immediately taken away by Dean van der Zandt, who we know to be one of the faster guys in the Pro-Am category. Already 0.3 up, so that's quite impressive. Good job by Dean van der Zandt. Further down the field, got a 24.71 from Troy Britnell. Good job by him so far. AM category driver, and he'll be looking to take some good points in the AM category today. For those of you who don't know, the AM category is, quite importantly, if you finish in the AM category ahead of a Pro-Am driver in the race, you do actually get more points for that race, and that is something that all the AM category drivers will be highly aware of here, especially given the proclivity for people to have incidents. So his teammate Matt Kutscher in 6th place at the moment at 23.4. That's not going to be good enough to get into the top 5. He'll have to be getting up into the 22s today. It looks like our ultimate pace could be into the low 22s, which could be quite interesting, because that's pretty quick around this track, I have to admit. So all the teams and engineers practicing, setting up the cars, getting out on track, getting their laps in. Of course, everyone here has had about 30 minutes of practice beforehand. And Matt Kutscher, that's a great little lap from there. He's into the 22s. Good on him. That's exactly where he needs to be. Our privateer, Chops. Earlier correction. Chops is in this lovely blue and, what is that, sort of lime green? It's like a Mercedes green livery that he's got there today. So slightly different than the black livery he had last time. That's going to really help me in the commentary box, because last time out at Catalunya, it looked like we had 3 Black Rose racing cars. If I just pull up Matt Kutscher for comparison, the privateer looked like he was in exactly the same livery last time out, which was a real headache in terms of the commentary. So it's nice to see him in a good, bright livery today. He'll be looking to put some pressure on Dean van der Zandt and Matthew Joynson, who are currently our championship leaders, or the guys with the most points in the Pro-Am category. Diffusion Race Engineering, of course, with a reserve driver switching. So Robbo not able to make it today to Laguna Seca. That's 50% points for the reserve driver once again. That's not great for the team, but they need to have a driver in, so they should be very lucky to have Ethan Simmons. He's proven himself to be very quick. He won our AM category last time out. Ooh, getting a little bit spicy there, but I believe that was Dean van der Zandt. No, sorry. correction, that was Matthew Joinson there. A little bit of a slow lap. Oh, getting really squiggly there for Diffusion Race Engineering. The BMW not looking particularly settled, I think, on the corner exit. That's going to be very tough to manage. Either that or he did run wide onto that green patch, so not ideal for him. Though, I have to say, he is currently setting the best lap times out there at 22.126. That's fantastic pace so far. He's going to really be putting a lot of pressure on our Pro-Am drivers today, it looks like. So, Ethan for Diffusion Race Engineering, looking strong. Wonder what his teammate will be able to do. Will his teammate be able to qualify ahead of him? We'll see. But these Pro-Am drivers, some of them do take a little while just to warm up and, you know, get their heads in the game. Of course, if you are in the upper categories, you are expected to finish ahead. So we'll see if anyone can will fall foul to the fast-running the rookie, Ethan Simmons. None of them will want to be, of course, and as we see, Chop set at 22.2, sets him up into 4th place. Good stuff there. Oh, we do see contact just behind. Oh dear, that's Matt Kutcher, and I don't know who else that is. Looks like a Gridline Racing car. Let's see if we can change. No, we've got a reset on the track, so very sensibly staying off the racing line at the moment, Matt Kutcher. A bit of an incident into the corkscrew. Very tough place to get it right. Very, very tough to get that right. Especially in these cars, you want to be holding as much speed into the corkscrew as possible. And of course, it does camber straight down, pitches down very, very steeply, and then suddenly into another right-hander. Can be quite tough on the tires and tricky to manage the weight balance of the car throughout there, despite the aero. I mean, you'd think with the aerodynamics on these cars, they'd be absolutely planted, but through the corkscrew, they just aren't at the end of the day. And yeah, these little incidents in qualifying are somewhat expected. Just a note on the wind at the track, 3.9 meters per second, flowing in the northwestern direction at the moment, coming from the southeast, so it's a bit of a crosswind for parts of the track, but that'll be great for turn 5 coming up the hill, as you will have a headwind to give you just a little bit more traction as you come through there. It's a tricky one, that turn 5. It's sort of it's quite a fast left-hander. You don't want to brake too much. Oh, whoa, Ethan Simmons pushing too much through the corkscrew. It's exactly what we were talking about. He's actually 0.1 of a second up from that. I would imagine that's actually track limit by going that wide, but he's somehow made that work for him, and no, he's completely binned it. Oh dear, can Karma Foster, so that's Monica Camilleri, get out of the way? Yes, she does. Oh my Gideon, that was close. As I was saying earlier, we're going to have a lot of spicy action happening on track, and it's already started. I was expecting this in the race, but we're already getting it in qualifying. Everyone pushing to the absolute limit to see what their cars can do today. So Super VT now, she's done a fantastic lap at 22.1, so we're already in the low 22s, and we could be seeing a 21 brought out here by anyone on the grid at this point. I mean, we've had AM category drivers at the top, we've had Pro-Am category drivers at the top, but Monica, this is a fantastic little stint she's on at the moment. Taking a quick look at her tire life. As expected, the front right's not going to be lasting as long as the other tires. That's mainly due to all the fast left-handers we have at the track, namely turn 6, which we're going through right now. She has a pretty good line through there. Excellent jobs. We'll stay on board. We'll go on board with her as we come up to the corkscrew and give you guys an idea about how treacherous it is in this part of the track. Good line through there, well executed. Excellent work on the throttle there from Monica Camilleri. Really, really doing well. She has put in good enough time for 3rd place at the moment. Chops, our privateer, now taking the first 1.21 lap in this race. Fantastic from our privateer. We know he's fast because he's been putting the pressure on Matthew Joinson and Dean van der Zandt. So that Mercedes looking pretty strong here today. I don't see many other Mercedes up in the top positions, and we will jump down through the grid and see where everyone is sitting at the moment. So Wade Rushton here. Let's see what he can pull out. He is a AM category driver, so between him and the rookie, who's the reserve driver for Diffusion Race Engineering in the AM class today, they're holding out 4th and 5th spot overall. So they're currently 1st and 2nd in the AM category in terms of qualifying placement. They'll need to keep that up. Behind them, we do have Dean van der Zandt, an absolute flyer at the moment. believe he set a Sector 1 purple. So let's see, let's watch him across the line, see if he can improve. Hellblazer goes a little bit faster, only good enough for 7th place. Across the line, Dean van der Zandt at 22.2. He's not been able to drop into that 21 category just yet. He's going to need to be there if he hopes to get ahead at the start of this race and execute his strategy. A master of strategy, as we've seen in previous races, and initially that really helped WTCR get high up in the points. A little bit of a fall off in recent races, but they are looking to come back and make a bit of a charge here. So the Jaguar, it's interesting, not looking particularly great on either of the right-hand tires. He'll be doing some lower fuel runs soon, so maybe that 0.2 is all that's in it, maybe, is the fuel level in the car at the moment. But yeah, not able to get ahead of the rookie, our AM class driver. So in the lead of the Pro-Am class, it is Chops. We'll continue moving down the field to 8th place for Madrick, who's ended up with a blue livery as well. Wow, that, just to make this really confusing, we've ended up with a blue livery for Madrick, as well as our privateer Chops. So usually the very red Strike Racetech car is currently rendering as blue. I don't know if that's a GT7 bug. It could well be, because his car is supposed to look a little bit like, let me try and find him. It's supposed to be looking like, where is he? Where is he? Do we actually have Tim Piers in here today? Hold on. We've got to try and find him, folks. There we go. So Rody, Tim Piers, this is what the car is supposed to look like on Mad Rick. And yeah, very stark difference between the blue and the red. And I don't know quite what's gone on there. I suspect it's something to do with the GT7 engine. It might reset later on. So my apologies that the liveries are doing some funky things today. So back towards our grid, a 0.5 second penalty for Hellblazer as he does run wide for Diffusion Race Engineering. Only 7 thousandths of a second behind the 6th place position of Wade Rushton. Mad Rick in 8th place in the supposed to be red, but currently blue Mercedes for Strike Racetech. Jeff Brewer behind them for Gridline Racing. He's not able to get that BMW up into a good position yet. 22.8 his best lap. So he's right back in the middle of the field at the moment, not able to extract what he needs to from that Gridline Racing BMW. 10th place is Matt Kutcher for Black Rose Racing. Look at those front and rear right tires. They are absolutely destroyed. He's been out there, though, for nearly 9. He's on his 9th lap at the moment. So he has been out there for a while. This will give us a good idea about how long these tires will end up lasting. We will talk strategy as we do have a quick break between qualifying and the main event, 60 minutes. And we will be jumping over and talking about our race sponsors as well. Of course, you are watching at the moment the MotorMotion E-Series GT3 Championship, sponsored by Player1 Simgear. p1simgear.com.au for all your sim racing needs. Of course, they are a bunch of sim enthusiasts, and they Melbourne-based, 100% Australia-owned. We'll talk about P1 Simgear a little bit later on, but they have generously sponsored this GT3 Championship and have provided some cool prizes for all the division champions. So 4 divisions overall in the GT3 Championship, 2 of which we are watching at the moment, Pro-Am and Am. In 11th spot there, Tim Piers, out on his 2nd stint now, I believe. He's in 11th place, holding off Troy Britnell behind him by only 6/100ths of a second. Oh, Troy getting very squiggly at the corkscrew, and that is why they call it the corkscrew. Well, it's a couple of reasons why you call it the corkscrew. One, because it looks like a corkscrew. Second, because the cars do corkscrews and burnouts in that area if you get things wrong. Behind them, Dylan Scarborough in 13th place. Then we have Rolls at Karma Foster for NED Racing. She's done a 23.8 on her last lap, so some low fuel runs on fresh tires now is the strategy she's taking. Behind them, we do have Chris White. So he's currently bringing up the rear of the field, 24.2. What we've had in previous races is a bit of a WTCR sandwich, with Chris White holding out that last position spot and Dean van der Zandt taking out the 1st position spot. So that has been less of a sandwich and more of a BLT between Black Rose Racing and several other cars and teams of late. And I'm not quite sure who that is behind them, but it could be Matt Kutcher, the broadcast, deciding to switch over to Some onboard views here with Gridline Racing. So let's see what Wade Rushton can do. Out of turn 4 he goes. Down this mini straight here towards turn 5. Very clean through there. Tough corner, and then up the hill we go towards turn 6. Very scary part of the track here. You got to get all of your confidence, all of your sisu has to come out and be present. Otherwise, you're going to be in a bit of a trouble as you come towards turn 7 and 8. And then we've got a car on the wall over there at the corkscrew. Cuts the corner very nicely into the rainy corner. That's in turn 9 we're going through right now. Tricky left-hander. Get it right and you can go on the throttle very early into turn 10. Careful of that bump on the inside of the apex. And then the final corner is the chicane. And well, it's not really a chicane, it's a hairpin really. Turn 11, there's the penalty line. So if the guys get penalties, guys and girls get penalties today, that's where they'll be serving it, at the beginning of the pit straights. The penalties here, very, very costly. It's going to play a big role in terms of strategy decisions if you do end up with a penalty. The pit lane is also quite tricky to enter. We'll see some people maybe make some mistakes, hopefully not, obviously, into the pit lane. But it's a bit of a long pit lane as well. Turn 3 we go through now. Excellent driving so far from Wade Rushton. But the news is, and all the rage at the moment, is Monica Camilleri. I was saying earlier that the Aston Martin could be very strong here. It's not got great top speed, but that thing handles like an absolute beast. And Monica is absolutely putting the pedal to the metal. What a performance so far. She qualified 3rd last time at Catalunya, despite the disadvantages the Aston had. And now here we are at Laguna Seca, and she's in 2nd place by 0.1 of a second over Matthew Joynson. Brilliant job. We've got 2.5 minutes left in this qualifying, everyone, so things are going to start heating up. Keep your eyes peeled on the broadcast because the grid is being set as we speak. Our privateer of Chops 1983, 0.15 ahead in 1st place. Behind them, Matthew Joynson, 3rd place. Behind them, our leader of the AM category at the moment. So ahead of them, all 3 drivers Pro-Am. But behind, we do have the rookie. And the rookie, a reserve driver for Diffusion Race Engineering, as we do see a Black Rose Racing Mercedes turned around on the pit straight. Not where you want to be out of turn 11. But rookie setting some very, very fast times at 22.007. Not quite making it into the 21s, but this is Pro-Am speed that he's showing at the moment, which is really, really fantastic. We do see a Strike Racetech car of Tim Pears off on the right-hand side of the track there. So lots of cars now. They know that there's 1.5 minutes left. There's only 1 or 2 laps in it now. They've got to get it done, and they've got to get it done right now. Dean van der Zaan behind them in 5th place, not putting in the performance that he needs to get up the grid and maintain that championship points lead. We'll see what happens in the race. We know that he is quick, but we also know that he's a master of strategy. Be interesting to see how he goes. Another standout here is actually Marty McFarty. That's Dylan Scarborough, the team owner of Scarborough Motorsport in the Porsche 911. Currently the 2nd place in terms of the AM category qualifying. Going for his final run now on very low fuel and very worn tires. Let's see if he can get up a little bit higher into the grid. Behind them, Wade Rushton. Behind Wade, it is Hellblazer. So we are coming up, 45 seconds remaining in the qualifying session. Got some people in the pits, so Monica Camilleri and Matthew Joynson not deciding to go out again. Their qualifying is over. We'll go on board now with Chops 1983, 21.681, still the fastest lap out on track. As we do come to the last 30 seconds now, it's all heating up. Trying to find those who are just about to cross the line. Looks like we'll just get round. Maybe for 1 more lap here for our current qualifying leader. He doesn't really need to. He could dive into the pits at this point, but no, he's going to go for it. Can he get across the line just in time? Tim Pears backing out behind him. In the pits is Matt Kutscher. He's done. He's in 11th spot, taking it out. And 1 more lap for Chops. So we do go on board now and find the other racers around the track. See who's going where. Let's cross the line. We do have a few more races. Let's see. No position changes up the top as it stands right now. Going through turn 5 is Dean van der Zaan. He's on an absolute flyer at the moment. Can he dip into the 21s? Let's see. Dylan Scarborough crossed the line for his last lap. Takes 7th place, it looks like. Yes, not able to improve. Behind them, we do have Dean van der Zandt coming through. That was, I think, his teammate, the WTCR, Chris White, not able to get up any further positions. Trying to keep an eye on who's coming across the grid, finding that to be a bit of a struggle in the broadcast box at the moment. Across the line, Wade Rushton, can he improve? No, 8th spot for him. Jeff Bruin, he's in 10th spot at the moment. What can he do? Let's see. And Dean van der Zandt, of course. No change up the order. Dean van der Zandt takes 6. Jeff Bruin takes 10th spot. And coming across the line now, we do have Troy Brittenell. There's Karma Foster. Can she improve from 14th spot? No, the Aston Martin of NED Racing not able to get up. So it's almost, it's kind of a BLT with the NED's Racing Aston Martins in the middle. Chris White taking 15th spot there. Tim Pears in 14th. Of course, we will go through these race results momentarily. And last but not least, across the line, let me try and find them. Somewhere in here. There we go, Troy Brittenell. He's gone to 13th position, but no improvement and a bit of damage on the front. So great qualifying from everyone, a bit of a mix-up. In terms of the grid, we've got some AM-class drivers up in the top 5 today. That's going to really mix things up in terms of the race, and the strategy will have to be called at some point. So let's see how we go. But fantastic racing from all the teams there for qualifying, and we will be back with you very, very soon after a message from our sponsor, Player1 Sim Gear.
Level up your sim racing experience with Player1 Sim Gear. Shop the biggest brands and the best range today. Player1 Sim Gear, official sponsors of MotorMotion E-Series.
And of course, Player1 Sim Gear, 100% Australia owned and operated. Owned by and run and operated, in fact, by sim enthusiasts for sim enthusiasts. Everything from flying simulator gear to mowing your lawn on a comfortable, expensive, lovely rig like I'm sitting in right now. They have it all, folks. Australia owned, like I said, and they are kindly sponsoring us in the GT3 MotorMotion E-Series Championship today. And what a fantastic team they have over there. Please go and visit them at www.p1simgear.com.au. Give them some support, give them some love, and again, thank you to them for the kind sponsorship today. Now, of course, that is qualifying done. We've probably got about, I'm just looking at the timing sheets right now, we've got about 7 minutes until the official race start, and we're going to go through the grid as it stands right now. So, in first place, your privateer, in the Mercedes AMG car. Now, I think there's some funkiness going on with the liveries because the liveries are looking a little bit different on this results screen. So my apologies to everyone watching for that. It is unfortunately just the way of things with GT7. Some minor glitches here and there, but overall a brilliant platform that we are bringing you this series from. So Chops, a great lap time from him, 21.681, great job. Second place, a real standout today, Monica Camilleri for NED's Racing. That V12 Vantage looking very strong here today. The cornering that it has just seems to be a mile above what other cars are doing on the grid. And we'll see how it plays out with regards to the tire life and the fuel usage, because the Mercedes, as we know, is very tough on its tires. It's going to be interesting to see what happens between those two at the top. PLE Black Friday, that's Matthew Joinson for Scarborough Motorsport in the 911 RSR, taking 3rd spot on the grid, 2nd row. 4th spot, top of the AM category, rookie 98, the reserve driver for Diffusion Race Engineering at 22.007, only 0.3 off the top times of the Pro-Am drivers. So doing very well there. I think he's ahead of most of the Pro-Am category drivers at the moment, which is interesting. So obviously a very good stand-in there for the Diffusion Race Engineering team. Behind him is teammate for today, Hellblazer. And Hellblazer's put in a very, very good lap there, 22.2 right at the end, only 0.5 off the lead. And 6th place goes to Dean van der Zandt. Usually we see him up in the top 3, but today he's in 6th spot, the cursed position, as Super GT would say. 22.280 for him. Marty McFardy, Dylan Scarborough, another standout, 2nd place. He's an AM category driver, so ahead of, I think, around 3 or 4 of the Pro-Am category drivers. So he'll be absolutely stoked with that. A 22.392, really putting it on the grid. And that'll be a 1, 2, 3, 4. Fourth grid position for him. So fourth row position, I should say. You have to excuse me as we are getting rather excited about the race that's upcoming. 8th place to Wade Rushton for Gridline Racing. On the next screen, we do have Mad Rick for Strike Racetech and that Mercedes AMG, looking now a lot redder than he did before, which is great. 10th spot goes to Jeff Bruin, not able to find the pace in that M6 for Gridline Racing. Behind them in 11th spot, Matt Kutscher. Black Rose Racing not showing well today here so far. The Mercedes, other than Chops at the top of the grid, not looking particularly strong, which is interesting. We'll see how that all plays out throughout the race. 12th spot to Tim Pears, also from Strike Racetech. And then the 13th spot it is Troy Britnell for Black Rose Racing. 14th spot goes to Rolls, who is Karma Foster. She's got a good showing there with the V12 advantage, but not able to get the pace down on the track today. A 23.585, the best that she can manage. And 15th spot, last but not least, it is Chris White in the F-Type Jag for WTCR. So, folks, that is going to be pretty much it. In terms of the race results, we're now holding out and waiting for the race start. 60 minutes here at the beautiful Laguna Seca. Not the best weather, but it's a beautiful track. Lots of action to come. So stay tuned, and we will be with you very, very soon. Okie dokie, and we are back. Let's talk strategy here at the beautiful Laguna Seca. So we're looking at a mandatory tire that is the racing soft, but the hard and the mediums are in fact available to all the participants. So we know that the Mercedes, being hard on its tires, is probably going to be opting for the longer strategies, longer stints. So we may see some people start on the medium tire today. Wouldn't be surprised if there's some very intense conversations going on in the pit lane right now between the racers and the engineers, as the qualifying was quite revealing in terms of how the tire life works. The right fronts and the rear rights both taking an absolute beating at this track. The left-handers around here are very, very brutal, and we will be getting started in about 1 minute here, folks, so do stay tuned. Make sure you've had a bathroom break. Make sure you've got a drink in hand, because 60 minutes of incredible racing is coming up soon. The race start procedure today, of course, is the rolling start. That's to make sure we don't have anyone fly off the grid. We did have an interesting incident at Catalonia with that's Matthew Joinson just flying off into the distance at the start. We did determine that to be a potential GT7 glitch, but nothing that we can do about that. We won't be seeing that today, I believe, because we've got quite the short pit straight. It's not very long, a 3.6 kilometer track overall, but it's not the straights that are the tricky thing. It's the corners that are really going to catch people out. And here we go. The race signal has been given. The guys and girls are all out on the track, and things are about to get real here, folks. So get buckled in, because Group B is about to kick off for our 60-minute endurance race. Let's get into it, everyone. And the rolling start procedure about to begin. Now leader Chops is going to be looking to get off the line well, get through the Andretti corner first and fastest, and get away nice and cleanly. So unfortunately, we do still have a bit of a livery problem here today with the official sponsor livery for the AMG. So 2 cars on the grid today, not sporting the proper livery, is very unfortunate. But the race start is beginning. You can hear the lights in the background, and we are away for the start of the race in round 5 of the GT3 Championship, the MotorMotion E-Series here at Laguna Seca. Let's see what chaos and what amazing racing we're about to see. Through the first corner they go, very smooth. Looks like Monica is already making up a little bit of time there on chops in the lead. Matthew Joynton behind them looking strong and trying to maintain the gap behind them. The two Diffusion Race Engineering chaps looking strong on their start. Behind them, Dylan Scarborough goes through. And then we've got the Gridline Racing car of Wade Rushton. And at the top, we've got Monica. She is just absolutely on the bumper of Chop, looking to take early advantage. No one currently that I've seen opting for the racing mediums. Everyone wants a fast start. The back of the grid, looking further back. Let's see what's happening. Jeff Bruin off to a good start behind him. It's Matt Kutcher. And then we got Rhodey. That's Tim Pears behind them in that red Mercedes. What is going to be going on in the corkscrew? Let's see soon. But pretty much equal standings for the start. No one getting the advantage from anyone else at the moment. Through the corkscrew safely are the participants. Matthew Joynton looking for a bit of action with Monica Camilleri. She might have got a little bit sideways during that corkscrew. And on the defensive now is she. As they go onto the main pit straight, the first potential overtaking zone of any real worth down into the Andretti corner. And she has got only 0.3 between her and a second gap now out the top. Behind them, the rookie looking to get a little bit of a dive there on Matthew Joynton. Can he make it happen? Yes, Matthew Joynton having to give him space through Andretti. Oh, that was close and getting sideways. He is, but makes the move stick. Is he going to go for a move on Monica? No, thinks better of it. That forces Matthew Joynton a little bit wide into turn 3. And oh, we've had some action. Oh dear, we've got some gravel being thrown up into the camera view. Cameraman's not going to be happy about that whatsoever. Dylan Scarborough back in 7th place. Good start from him, maintaining his position. Behind him, Wade Rushton in the Gridline Racing BMW. Mad Rick off to a good start as well. All the action is happening right at the top of the grid, but mostly between Monica Camilleri, who has lost out that position. Now down into 3rd place, Matthew Joynton right behind her. Racing soft, definitely the opportunistic tyre here. You want to be taking track position as much as possible in the early parts of this race. Behind them, Dean van der Zand in 6th place. He's just holding on at the moment, biding his time as they come through rainy corner into turn 10 for the 2nd time in this race. Beautiful line through there. Dean van der Zand, is he going to look up the inside into turn 11? No, he thinks better of it. That's smart at the end of the day. You just want to bide your time at this track. You don't want to be making any big dives anywhere because you could be in trouble. And going to the steward's box after the race, down at the end of the grid, we will have a little look and see what's going on. Karma Foster holding on to the 14th spot. Troy Britnell ahead of them, and then Tim Pears. So the bottom 5 at the moment. A little bit of gaps showing in the field now. With Chops at the top starting to make a little bit of a distance between him and 2nd place. But amazingly, we now have the rookie going for it. I think we're going to have to go back for a bit of an instant replay on the rookie there. Let's take a little look. He was able to make a move down the pit straight, and there he is ahead of Monica Camilleri and Dean van der Zand. So great move from him, and back on board with the action we go. Matthew Joynton still holding to the back of Monica Camilleri. It looks like the rookie is a little bit squiggly through that 2nd sector. And that he's definitely losing some time out to these Pro-Am drivers, but amazingly up into 2nd place and leading the Am category once again is Ethan Simmons for Diffusion Race Engineering. Great job by him so far. Dylan Scarborough in the Porsche 911 behind them, the yellow and black liveried Scarborough Motorsport car. Looking good already, and please ignore that warning on screen. They are not running out of fuel by any shadow of a doubt. It is just a small glitch with GT7, a glittering of glitches all the way through the grid, unfortunately. It is what it is, and Madrick, which is supposed to be a red car today, in fact in a blue car. That's not his mistake, that's just GT7 as well. He's holding on to 9th spot with Jeff Bruin behind him, putting a bit of pressure on the Mercedes driver. But will that BMW be able to extract some time over the long run? We'll see. I don't think he's opted to go for the medium strategy. No, also starting on the soft. So far, not able to find anyone actually running on the medium tires. Everyone choosing the softs. Get that mandatory tire out of the way as soon as possible. And oh, we've got Tim Pears. He's up into the barrier. He's missed it at turn 2 out of Andretti corner. And he is in the barrier and in last place now. 55 minutes to go in this race. And the action is all starting to happen. Chris White on the back of Karma Foster, fighting for 13th spot. He gets the run on her. Can he make something happen in the 5th spot? We know Karma Foster is great at taking the defensive line, forces Chris White wide, and that is going to be, nearly contact in turn 5. Great racing from those two. Fair and clean. Matt Kutscher dropping back in the field a little bit. He's behind his teammate, Troy Britnell. So he's not going to be particularly happy about that. Troy is obviously the AM class driver in the team. And you have to excuse me, but this commentator is already struggling with his voice today because the action is all happening and it is absolutely lightning there out on track at cloudy and chilly Laguna Seca. 1.3 seconds the gap now between your leader, Chops 83, and the rookie, Ethan Simmons. Behind them, a 2.3 second gap, so some fighting going on between Peely Black Friday and Monica Camilleri. Monica has been overtaken at some point in the 4th lap there by Matthew Joinson. So a good move by the Dylan Scarborough Motorsport driver to put himself up into the podium positions early on. Behind them, we've got Marty McFarty, so Dylan Scarborough, the Porsche, actually looking very, very strong here at the moment. Whether it's fuel saving or tire saving that's going on behind them, but our Pro-Am category leader at the moment, who is IMAT, with the most points on 79 points in the championship for Pro-Am, actually falling behind a couple of the AM class drivers. That F-Type Jag just not working at the moment for him. On board we go with Dean van der Zand. Let's see how he goes through turn 6. Be interesting to see, is he saving fuel? Is he saving the tires? Of course, one of the most interesting things about this kind of strategy is that, in fact, you are looking at extending the, if you are, in fact, looking at extending the racing soft stint, you will need to look after the tires a lot, and that will mean giving up position on track. But the longer you can run the softer tires, the faster you will be in overall race distance, and the less chance it is you need to do a pit stop. So there's going to be some very interesting strategy mix-ups as we go through this race. Behind them, Strike Racetech's Mad Rick. He's doing well this time, staying out of the trouble that he usually gets himself intertwined with. And he's doing well to manage those racing softs so far. Usually we see a bit more degradation on the Mercedes, but really, really managing them well. So good on him. Monica Camilleri still holding on to Matthew Joinson in front. Fuel looking quite good as well. Doing a great job so far for NED Racing. She's had a great finish last time out, 3rd place for her. So looking to repeat her success at Catalunya and bring home some great points for her team today at Laguna Seca. Keeping an eye around the track, and the gap has really started to come down between Chops and the rookie. So Ethan Simmons is now putting a huge amount of pressure on our race leader. Will the AM category reserve driver be putting our privateer to a bit of shame today? We will see. Of course, strategy is going to be key. Who's doing what kind of strategy at the end of the day? He's getting the run. He's on the outside. And he's got it. He's got him. Ethan Simmons through into the lead on the pit straight through turn 11. Great move by our reserve driver for Diffusion Race Engineering, and Chops now starting to struggle on those tires. He's losing a bit of time. That's not going to be good for him, but looking to maintain a slightly longer term strategy, I believe, over the course of this race. We know that he's messed with some strategies in the past. Hasn't quite worked out for him in some cases, but he might be coming up with some sort of genius strategy today, and we will see. Nearly 10 minutes into our 60-minute endurance race, and we've had a great start to this race. Lots of close racing. No one other than Tim Pears having any incident that we have seen so far, which is great. Don't want any incidents on track, of course, and lots of clean racing. Everyone understands the risk you take by going side by side through any of these corners, bar the pit straight, and that risk you take is ending up in a gravel pit and sideways. So 1.6 seconds the gap behind him to Dylan Scarborough. 5th place Hellblazer. Aiden Sampson doing very well for Diffusion Race Engineering. His reserve driver teammate at the moment miles ahead, 6.8 seconds up the road currently. Through the corkscrew they go. Good sector time there from him, a 58.7. Nicely done through there. Dylan Scarborough, now he's going to start struggling on those tires in a few laps because he's currently at 75% tire life. For both his front and rear right tires. 1.5 seconds the gap behind him to Dean van der Zand, who we know is going to make a huge charge later in this stint. And they're going to need to be trying to make it to half distance on the softs if they can. But some of the teams will be opting for a 2-stop strategy today. Soft, potentially with a medium stint in there, or potentially 3 sets of the soft tire. Now, the only tire they have to use is the mandatory soft tire today, and all of the participants on the grid have already gone and used it at the start. So no one here is going to be caught out by the mandatory tire, and that will put the mediums back on the back burner, I suspect. Not necessarily going to be the optional, the optimal choice, unless you want to run really, really long. But the degradation here actually looking a little bit less than predicted earlier on in this race. We were expecting the softs to go off a little bit faster than this. But they're going to be lasting to probably half race distance. If you can make it a one-stop on the softs, that'll be mighty impressive, but you're going to have to do a lot of saving on the tires and a lot of saving on the fuel to make it to 30 minutes. Dean van der Zaan through the corkscrew he goes in that beautiful F-type Jag. WTCR will be looking to make a comeback this race. Have had a little bit of a change around in 10th spot, so Jeff Bruin able to get up into 9th spot at the moment. That's a position improvement from him, qualifying in 10th spot behind Madrick, who's still in front of him. So both of them kind of just trailing along in their own little train. Happy to sit where they are, managing their tires well, managing the strategy. It is that time of the race where you just need to keep the focus in, get your head down, and really just focus on your laps. If you're not focusing on your laps, then yeah, you are going to end up in trouble. You don't want to be stressing early on. There's plenty of time in this race to make up positions. You certainly don't want to be fighting for position, that's for sure. Behind them is Matt Kutscher, and then his teammate for Black Rose Racing, Troy Britnell, taking the 10th and the 11th spot. Wade Rushton at the back of the grid at the moment, so it looks like he has, in fact, fallen a little bit off the pace. In the pits at the moment, we do have Tim Pears for Strike Racetech, so not quite sure why he's decided to go in. I think it's to repair that damage and get a new set of softs, potentially mediums. We'll see what he comes out on. But if he's going long now, that might be the right call. But a full tank of fuel, I suspect, is what he wants to do. He doesn't want to be, yeah, I suspected so. On the racing medium, so we've got our first medium runner, not a mandatory tire, but it's definitely one that you can take for a long, long period of time into this race. He might even be doing the rest of the race on this tire, but fuel will become a bit of an issue. Getting blue flag there as we do see the leaders come through. Ethan Simmons goes through. Our first blue flag drivers are not able to get out, just a little bit, wow, a little bit sideways there from Ethan Simmons. Oh dear, that was very, very close. You can see he's pushing the tires to the absolute limit. I do believe that is going to come back and bite him, sadly, because he's probably going to have to do a two-stop strategy, whereas the, oh gosh, look at that, going sideways through turn 5 up the hill. That is not how you want to be driving these cars, but like I said, pushing it to the absolute limit at the moment, folks, is the reserve driver in the AM category for Diffusion Race Engineering. I'm not sure if this strategy is going to work out for him at the end of the day, and we will see a little bit later on. In terms of the tire life, some of the better runners at the moment, Super VT 2000, Monica Camilleri, right on the back of Matthew Joinson now, so she's done well to catch back up with him. Now putting some pressure on the Scarborough Motorsport driver. Managing her fuel very, very well. Obviously going for a longer run on these racing softs and maintaining a 22 and 23s at the moment. That last lap, her best lap. So starting to crank up the speed and making sure that she's putting some of that appropriate pressure on the top runners. This could be a great showing for her. If she can manage a one-stop today, she'll be in a fantastic position going forward towards the end of this race. Madrick in the not-so-red Strike Racetech car. And yes, this car is supposed to be red, but unfortunately a few GT7 livery glitches today have caused that to not be the case. Half fuel for him at the moment, and the racing soft looking a little bit okay. Not great, not terrible. But nonetheless, a little bit of pressure behind there from Jeff Bruin, who's having a good run at the moment, up one spot already in this race. Just looking down at the back of the grid a little bit. Karma Foster having a little bit of a race on her own at the moment. 2.5 seconds the gap to Chris White ahead. Chris White's actually been having a fantastic race so far. He qualified in 15th spot and now up into 12th spot after we had Tim Pears go and spin, head into the pits. And he's obviously been able to get past Karma Foster and Wade Rushton as well. We're not 100% sure why Wade Rushton has ended up where he's ended up. I think he might have had a little bit of an incident, but He's had some good showings in the previous rounds, and oh, he's going to get the run on Karma Foster there, up into the corkscrew, and then I should say down through the corkscrew. Great move by him. The Karma Foster getting a little bit squiggly on exit through turn 6, and that's put her behind one position, so into 14th spot for her. The tires of our privateer starting to fall off a cliff, as is expected with the Mercedes. Not ideal for him, really. He'll be a bit worried and looking in this mirror at the moment at the yellow liveried 911 behind him. Gaining ever so little, but little by little, each lap getting closer and closer. We are now at quarter race distance here, everyone. So take a breather. The race has got off to quite the start, and we are going to continue bringing you the live action throughout the next 45 minutes of this race here at Laguna Seca for the MotorMotion E-Series GT3 Player 1 Championship. Gap to the front now looking very, very big. 7 seconds nearly. But as we discussed earlier, I mean, part of this situation here is that we've got the top runner is absolutely pushing like crazy, whereas everyone from there down is actually conserving their tires and thinking a little bit more about their strategy long term. We've already had a pit stop onto the mediums by Tim Pearce, who's going to probably try and take it to the end of the race. He will be very, very slow, but he's going to hope for some chaos that happens ahead of him to gain some positions today. He had a mighty spin into the barriers just after this exact corner that we're watching right now. As we do go on board now with Aidan Sampson for Diffusion Race Engineering. Still very cloudy out there. I was hoping to see some sun come through, but it doesn't look like that's happening so far on track. Nothing quite like the incredible sun that we had at Barcelona de Catalunya last time out. Some great work so far from the teams and drivers in terms of the strategy and the on-track racing so far. Loved that we had a very clean start this time round. That's what the rolling starts are there to do. And was able to give Chops a bit of a run at the start of the race, and he's fallen back into second spot at the moment, our privateer in the Pro-Am category. And I would have to say that Aidan's tyre is not looking particularly healthy right now, but we'll see how he goes later on in the race. Going for a little bit of a drone camera view of Wade Rushton, an AM category driver. I don't think his livery is loaded up particularly well either. Thank you very much for that. I appreciate that, Jason. Thank you very much for letting me know. My mistake, of course, so forgive me, everyone, for the overlay that was covering a lot of that track information. We are now looking good. Luckily, that was only for the first 18 minutes, not the entire race, so thank you very much. I really appreciate that. That's the tricky thing with being in the commentary box and the broadcast box solo. So you have to manage a lot of stuff, and sometimes, unfortunately, we do get it wrong. That's why we appreciate you guys in chat helping us out and making sure that we're doing all the right things at the right time. So thank you very much there, Jason. Really appreciate that. And back on track. We are currently staying on board with a little bit of action from Wade Rushton. He's looking pretty good at the moment, but like I said earlier, the tires are starting to fall off. 20 minutes into this race, so 40 more minutes to go. Those 40 minutes are going to include a pit stop as well for most of the front runners. Ignore, please, the please refuel remaining laps blah message on the screen. That is due to the instant replay features that we are using today. No incidents so far for us to go and review particularly. We'll try and catch some overtakes as they happen around the track. Now the top 4 getting rather close other than the rookie who's out in front, but look at that. Isn't this interesting? You push your tires too hard and you will lose all of that time you gained. A lap ago, this was a 7-second gap. Now down to 2 seconds and falling fast. You can see he's sideways. He's running onto the gravel. That right front of his is absolutely gone. So he's got no grip out there, does Ethan Simmons. So he is going to be absolutely struggling as the conservative runners behind him who've been managing their strategy and tires a little bit better are going to start reeling him in and probably going for some overtakes. So some action coming up soon at the top of the grid. And Monica in 4th place, still holding on and keeping the top runners very, very honest at the moment. Look at her tires and fuel. She's keeping up, keeping them honest, and she's doing a brilliant, and I mean brilliant job with her tire life at the moment. So fantastic work from the NED Racing's driver at the moment. Behind them, 3 seconds down the road, struggling a little bit with his tires as well, is the teammate of Ethan Simmons, our race leader. And 5th place, Aiden Sampson. He's doing well. Again, still managing everything well, so he'll last at least another 10 minutes out on track, but those tires are going to end up in the similar situation as the front runner, who has managed to pull a bit of a gap, but those tires continue to die and die. Oh dear, oh dear. Look at that, goes wide into Andretti corner. That's going to cut some time off. But the runners behind just keeping it conservative. Chops staying nice and cool, keeping his head. He's got pressure from behind from Matthew Joynson. Matthew Joynson got pressure from behind by Monica Camilleri as he gets very, very squiggly there on the exit of turn 3. Turn 4, one of the areas where they can relieve the tires a little bit. The fast right-hander, not going to be burning up the right fronts as much. But it's this top corner here as they go up the hill towards turn 6. This is where the tire life really starts to drop off. It gets crunched through there as you try and pull off the run at maximum throttle, if possible, through that section of the track. Very tricky to do. And of course, you do end up using a lot of the mechanical grip of the tires to manage that. Obviously, you want to be relying on the aerodynamics of the cars, of which these GT3 cars have plenty. But if you get it slightly wrong, then yes, you will be in trouble. And if you're in trouble, then you're going to be running wide, and you'll need to use a bit more of that mechanical grip. As our leader, Ethan Simmons, decides to come in for a pit 22 minutes in. It'll be interesting to see if he goes out on the mediums or comes out on another fresh pair of softs. We know that he's only going to make it 22 minutes by pushing on the soft tires, and that's going to put him well back in the grid, I think down to about 9th spot. So he'll have a little bit of work to do to get back into it today. Our front runner is going to be pitting in the next 8 or so minutes, so stay tuned, everyone. The action is all about to happen now. Our provisional race leader now is Chops 83 once again, and Matthew Joynson breathing down his neck. Bit of dirt thrown up there by Dean van der Laat. No, sorry, that was Aiden Sampson. We are getting closer and closer to half race distance. Monica is still pushing on those tires, now using a little bit more life than she might use. And oh no, we've got Chops. He's gone off. We're going to have to go for an instant replay there as we did miss that. Let's go and have a little look at what happened. Coming into turn 5 here, let's see. Is there a little bit of contact between him and Matthew Joynson? No, Matthew Joynson was not involved in that at all. He runs wide, and unfortunately for Chops, that is GG. Where has he ended up on track? That's put him back down into 4th spot. So an unfortunate wide run into turn 5, hitting the gravel and spinning the car around. That's going to burn his tires up, cover them in gravel. Oh, he's going to be unhappy with that performance. Might even choose to come into the pits at this stage, given his mistake there. And yes, he does. Into the pits he comes a little bit earlier than he likes, but maybe time for a medium stint for him. So another race lead change there. Up into the lead now, Matthew Joynson for Dylan Scarborough's Motorsport Racing team. 1.2 seconds of gap behind him to Monica Camilleri, who's been elevated into 2nd position. This is all going Monica's way. Matthew Joynson will be very happy, but the tire life for both of these top runners starting to fall off a little bit. More so, of course, for the third place podium position of Aiden Sampson. So Aiden Sampson will be absolutely stoked at the moment, though he does have a pit stop, and he'll have a flying teammate in Ethan Simmons behind him in a few laps. So let's look at over at Ethan Simmons now. He does come out on another racing soft set of tires. Interesting choice for the AM class driver, having a little bit of a fight now with Troy Brittenell, and able to get, oh, so that's Chris White, able to get past, and now going to be looking to get Troy Brittenell in the next couple of laps. But the rookie reserve driver there doing very well in this race, but will those softs last as long as they should do? I think he's going to have to go for a 2nd stop later in this race, because we're not even at half distance, and yeah, he is going to have to make some serious moves later on in this race. It's provisional, but it's the lead nonetheless. Matthew Joynson, he's going to be absolutely stoked. Just chaos happening in front of him. Chops spinning in front of him. Ethan using all of his tires. So the two people he was competing with at the top, now out of it. But the real story at the moment is actually going to Dean van der Zandt. He's been biding his time. Of all the competitors on track, that Jag has easily the best set of racing soft tires on the grid right now. And I believe still quite a lot of fuel on board. He's going to be well past half race distance. This could be another strategy genius call from Dean van der Zandt. A late charge, high fuel map he'll be running with nice fresh tires. He knows he can manage them late into the race. Oh, do not make a mistake like that, Dean. That is not worth it through turn 5. Keep it chill. You do not want to be doing what Chops did a moment ago. That is going to put you in all sorts of trouble. But another really, really good news story here is Jeff Bruin. He is doing a brilliant job for Gridline Racing in the 23s average lap time now. Doing a very good job. He's in a bit of the no man's land. 7 seconds ahead and behind him are the racers. Matt Cooke obviously has had some sort of incident behind him that's given Jeff Bruin the ability to get up into 5th spot. So top 5 right now for Jeff Bruin. Still has to do a stop, but looking good on tires and fuel at the moment. So great drive from the Gridline Racing driver. And oh dear, talking about bad tires, we've just gone from the best tires on the grid to the worst on the grid, and coming into the pits very sensibly is Matt Cooke. Totally gone is his right front. That is cutting it very, very close indeed. So he'll get overtaken by Ethan Simmons on the pit straight here. That'll elevate Ethan up to 6th place. He's still about 15 seconds behind the 5th place running Jeff Bruin. But once Jeff does his pit stop, that will put him behind Ethan once again. But like I said earlier, I think Ethan's going to have to go for another pit stop because it's not going to work out for him, I think, at this stage. Chris White had a good race so far. Started in 15th spot, up into 8th provisionally at the moment. 73 car looking very good. He's really had his head down today, and that really is what he needs to do. He's had some unfortunate last place finishes out at the previous rounds. In fact, nearly all 4 rounds he was at the bottom of the grid. So to be up into 8th spot at the moment is absolutely fantastic. Of course, the grid is mixing around as we do see some pit stops happen. And the tire life looking pretty low on some of these cars. Medium running Dylan Scarborough has pitted as well, so we did miss that. But he is going to be going long, potentially to the end of the race on those medium tires. Oh, don't do that at turn 5. What is it with turn 5, everyone? What is it with turn 5? Like I said earlier, it is one of the trickiest corners on the grid. Doesn't look like it. It's pretty innocent on the surface of it, but it's flanked by some very nasty gravel pits and barriers, and very easy to run wide, as you do need to get on the throttle early. The corner sort of opens up as you get into the apex. You want to get onto the apex as early as possible and really use the curbs to launch the car around so you can get a good acceleration up the hill towards turn 6. We do see Troy Britnell now into the pits on his racing softs, which I'm sure will be equally as dead as Matt Cooke's. Not quite, but very, very close. Mad Rick running at the back. Took a new racing soft set of tires on his 2nd stint. Good job there, and I do want to take a quick look at Tim Pears. He's running on the medium so far. The Mercedes not being kind to its tires, and I can't see him lasting on those tires or fuel to the end of the race. And he's being blue flagged as well. This is a total disaster for Tim Pears. Not the race that he needed to come back in here for Strike Racetech. So my thoughts definitely going out to him. Back at the top, the action is still going on. 0.5 seconds is the gap now between Matthew Joynson and Monica Camilleri, who's putting in a fantastic race so far. It's clean, it's conservative, it's fast. Those are contradictory terms, but you'll have to forgive me. But no, Monica Camilleri, honestly, doing a fantastic job. Holding on to that 2nd spot at the moment. Still has to pit. Behind them, it looks like Jeff Bruin and IMAT now elevated 1 more position. That'll be because of Hellblazer, who has to have come into the pits, which he has indeed. And I might have been muted for the last little while, so that's unfortunate. but I will try and continue the commentary as we go around the grid. My bad, my voice is struggling a little bit today, unfortunately, folks, so you have to excuse the hawks and the hums. But Jeff Bruin here doing a fantastic job for Gridline Racing, up in the 4th spot now, but we do have all the pit stops happening. Half race distance, 30 minutes into our race here today at Laguna Seca for the MotorMotion E-Series GT3 Championship. And looks like our leader now coming into the pits, Matthew Joynson. So let's see what he can do. He knows he can make it 30 minutes on those racing soft tires and a single set of fuel. That puts Monica Camilleri now up into the lead. Great job from her so far. Low fuel, so she'll probably be wanting to come into the pits this time round. Not muted at all. Excellent. That's good. I might have clicked the button a couple of times on my stream deck, so I appreciate it. And of course, it is starting to heat up here in the commentary box as I continue to exhale a ton of carbon dioxide into this tiny, tiny box of a room. It is heating up like nothing you can believe, but I'll try and stay on top of things. But the overcut now, or technically the overcut for Monica Camilleri might be in action. I do want to see the tires that are coming out for Matthew Joynson. It is racing softs. Okay, cool. So he's going for another racing soft stint here. A good outlap here could put him back into the lead. Got to see, but we do know that Monica Camilleri is going to be fast on this last lap. She's going to be putting absolutely everything into it. Maximum fuel mode, maximum use of the tires. She can use absolutely everything she's got left in the lap. 28 minutes remaining. She knows she can go 32 minutes, and she'll be coming into the pits, I believe, this lap. And no, that's interesting. She stays out for another lap, extending her stint further. Behind her is Diem van der Zandt. He's also still extending his lap, so almost covering off the strategy call of Diem van der Zandt now, up at the 2nd spot, only 7.8 seconds behind Monica Camilleri after starting 6th in this race. And behind them, welcome back to the fray, it is none other than Ethan Simmons. He's miles behind at the moment, 30 seconds off the pace because of that pit stop. Oh, nearly getting wide there through turn 10. Crikey, that BMW and the way that Ethan is driving it has been terrifying today in the commentary box. Every time we jump on board, it feels like he's about to spin the car on the gravel. So he's pushing this car to the absolute limit. We'll see if he can make it to the end of this race. A yellow flag there. Let's see, can we get on board with someone who's gone for a spin there? Let's have a little look. Trying to find who that was. Not able to at the moment, so we will try and grab a quick replay. Oh, and it is, I believe that's Wade Rushton. He's gone wide at the Andretti corner on the inside, which is unusual. So he must have spun on the outside part of the exit and then come back onto track. That's very unlucky for him. So down at the 14th spot is Wade Rushton for Gridline Racing. His teammate Jeff Bruin up into the top spots, or he was for a while, but 6th place for him at the moment. And this is after a few of the pit stops as well. So Jeff having a fantastic race so far from 10th on qualifying. He's made his way slowly but surely up the grid. And both of our top leaders now pitting. This is going to get interesting. We're going to have some very, very spicy stuff happening out of the pit lane now, folks. You definitely want to be staying tuned for this. Very low fuel for them. The rookie going through. He'll get ahead of both of these two in the pit stop. Of course, he's a pit stop ahead and a few laps since he was in the pit stop. So his tires will be very, very worn compared to the others, and I suspect he will have to do a second stint. So we'll see, but 25 minutes remaining. It's all to play for. Matthew Joynson coming across the start line there. He's just gone past Super VT, who's coming out. You can see Matthew Joynson ahead of them. Behind them, it is IMAT, Diem van der Zandt, who's just been overtaken by Hellblazer. So the grid is now reordering as it should do. So Matthew Joynson out on the fresh racing softs. He's 1 lap or 2 laps in. Monica Camilleri behind him. The overcut has not worked at all. She was probably better off going in earlier, but she'll have fresher tires towards the end of the race, and that could prove the distance for making the move on Matthew Joynson. But she's got a gap to close up. 3.4 seconds the gap to the Scarborough Motorsport Porsche. Behind them, the Diffusion Race Engineering is Aiden Sampson. He's had a good little pit stop there, but Diem van der Zandt behind him, looking a bit ominous in that rear view mirror. Not sure why the blue flag is out there, but that'll be for one of the drivers behind. I think the tires of Rookie are going to start looking very, very painful very, very soon. 10 seconds ahead, yes. So if he can make it last to the end, he's in the great position right now. First spot, of course. Ahead of him, a couple of back markers in Wade Rushton and Karma Foster, having a little bit of action between them. Let's jump on board, see what's going on between these two. Both of them now blue flagged. Ethan Simmons coming through the grid once again. Some damage for Wade Rushton. That spin he had at Andretti, the corner we're at now, a couple of laps ago, really took a lot of time out of him. He was up much further in the grid. I think he was in 10th spot for a long time. But 20 seconds added to his race lap time for that incident, letting the Rookie go through on the inside into turn 5. And next it'll be Karma Foster, who's still in 14th place technically overall, but 13th place for her currently. Second stint, I think she'll be going to the end on these racing soft tires, so doing very well. Will she let Rookie pass into the corkscrew? Yes, very clean, good driving there from NED Racing's Karma Foster. Excellent job, and not losing too much time to Wade Rushton behind as well. Great driving from her. A little bit further up the grid on his second stint as well is Chris White for WTCR. Looking good at the moment. See if he can make something happen. 23 minutes remaining in this race. I suspect the track temperature is coming up to a decent window at the moment. The pit window is still open for some, but I think everyone on the grid now has gone for their pit stop. Everyone's on fresh tires now, nobody running any longer than they need to. We do have Tim Pears down in last place at the moment, running on the medium tires, and Dylan Scarborough as well. Do you want to find him? He's currently running in 9th spot on the mediums. How is his tire life doing? Let's see. I think he could easily make it to the end of the race on these mediums. The question is, does he have the pace to hold off Troy Bittnell behind him, who will be gaining and gaining on each lap? Looks like about a second slower are the medium tires today. It's not super significant, but it's enough to make a difference. It's just the longevity of the run is what you're looking at the end of the day. Mentioned for fastest lap at the moment, still going to Rookie 98, so he is a standout competitor at the moment. An AM category driver in the Bronze Championship, a reserve driver for Diffusion Race Engineering today. Robbo not able to make it out to Laguna Seca on this lovely cloudy day. Half points for the team. Oh no, he's run very, very wide. Is he just going to go into the pits? He's just going to go into the pits. He has dived straight into the pits, and he's going to look to make up some time with a fresh set of racing softs. Now that will elevate once again Matthew Joinson into the lead. So Matthew Joinson, he is looking at another race victory. He had a win out at Catalunya last time out at round 4. So this will consolidate some mega points for Dylan Scarborough and his Scarborough Motorsport team. But he's got to worry about Monica Camilleri behind him, who's on slightly fresher tires. She'll have slightly more fuel to play with as we do get closer to the last 20 minutes of the race today. Podium position potentially for Aiden Sampson today. We'll see. That gap very closing down very much so to Dean van der Zaan behind, now under 1 second, so he'll be getting slipstream behind Aiden Sampson at the moment. And then we've got Squirrel upgraded into 5th spot. Who's that behind him? I think that might be Ethan Simmons right behind him. But this is contention for a position at the moment, so Jeff does not have to give up the spot. He's going defensive into turn 5. Very good move, closes off the door, slams it shut in the face of Ethan Simpson, and oh, was that contact? Didn't look like it, but a wide run into turn 5 has compromised Jeff Bruin, and the Rookie will go up into 5th position once again. So the Rookie going up and down the field, and he's looking like he's on an absolute charge. He's got 25 seconds to make up in this race. Will his flat-out strategy make the guys and girls on the more conservative strategies, the saving strategies, sweat towards the end of this race? We'll see what his progress is like a little bit later in the race. The next target that he'll be looking to is Dean van der Zaan. Dean van der Zaan obviously doing very well here to stay up into the top positions. He's in 4th place at the moment, as you can see. And he'll want to be taking that podium position today. His qualifying was pretty abysmal by his standards, 6th position, but able to make up a couple of spots in this race so far. But the fast-running Ethan Simmons behind him is going to be a bit of a trouble in his rear mirror in a few laps. But ahead of him, that's where his focus is. It's on the Diffusion Race Engineering car of Aiden Sampson. Both of them closing the gap up to the leaders a little bit. Not quite as fast in Sector 2 as the top runners at the moment. But as you can see, fastest lap not going to change anytime soon. We did have a move. We've had a move between Black Friday and Super VT. Let's see if we can catch that on the replay. Doesn't look like we're going to be able to catch that on the replay. Dylan Scarborough nowhere to be seen. So we will jump back onto the grid, and no, we've had some sort of weird, oh wow, a huge dive, ascend, some action on track. We're going to stay with this now. Matthew Joinson going for an absolutely massive send on Monica Camilleri there, who got up into 1st place momentarily. I wish the replay had captured that. Unfortunately, the broadcast team not able to find where that is. But a big switch, that could have been some latency in the grid actually, now that I think about it. That was a very unusual ability to slow down, like he had 8 brakes on his tires. So I think we might have seen just a little bit of latency there, but Super VT now closing up the grid, and the timing screen seems to be all sorts of mucked up, which is very, very odd, and looks like Dean van der Zaan able to get ahead now of Aiden Sampson for 3rd position, now switching around the podium, looking for a podium now is Dean van der Zaan, so good on him. That's a great move. Can he make it stick, though, into the corkscrew? No. Well, yes, in fact. Yes, he does. So fantastic work there by Dean van der Zaan on a bit of a charge now. Looking to keep gaining time to the cars ahead. That little scrap has lost him a couple of seconds to the lead. 4 seconds still the gap between the top 2 runners. So Monica Camilleri here, she's just biding her time. Got 17 minutes left in this race. 6 seconds behind Dean van der Zaan. So equal strategies between those two at the moment. In fact, the top 3 right now running the same strategy. The real question is, can the fast-running Ethan Simmons make it up through the grid? And we've had some incidents behind it. Looks like we've had some stuff happen because Jeff Bruin has damage on the front of his car. Oh dear, yeah, it's been an incident further on in this previous lap. He will have unfortunately missed that on track, but he's gone from 5th or 6th place down into 9th, but back to where he's qualified. That is not ideal at all for him. So must have been a spin, potentially somewhere at the top of the hill or just at the bottom. That turn 5 has been catching out a lot of people today. Running up through the remainder of the grid, and looks like our medium running Tim Pears decided to come in for a pit stop again. So 2nd stint for him, unfortunately. That's going to keep him well down in the positions. He's 2 minutes off the lead and some, unfortunately. Wade Rushton out on his fresh set of softs. Looking to make up a little bit of time to Madrick ahead. Madrick looks like he's pitted as well. Going to the end now on a fresh set of softs is the Mercedes driver, the Strike Race Tech. Putting in some pretty decent lap times at the moment. Emma Foster ahead of them, and then Chris White in 11th spot. So that's your bottom 5 at the moment, folks. The mid-pack is certainly getting interesting as well, and we will keep an eye on our leaders and how their tires are going. In comes Trops for another pit stop. I think he might have been, I think he might have been involved in some incidents in this race because he's absolutely fallen off the pace. That Mercedes of his just not able to stay anywhere close to the top leaders. He was leading the race right at the start, top qualifier as well, of course. And now teammates of Karma Foster and Monica Camilleri. There'll be a blue flag in action. So Karma will be looking to give Monica a nice pass, maybe through one of the next corners. Although they'll be doing a little bit of team strategy, maybe, you know, getting the slipstream, keeping Dean van der Zaan from making a big charge from behind. But he's already pulled out a 2-second gap, has Dean. Aiden behind him, falling off the pace a little bit. So having pitted earlier, the softs are just falling off a cliff, even though there's only quarter race distance left, so 3 quarters now through our race. Looks like I'm hearing from race control that we are going to be getting some onboard shots now, as we do go on board with Dylan Scarborough. Great views from that 911 RSR cockpit. One of my favorite cars to drive in amongst all the options that the teams have had for the GT3 Championship. Behind him, only a second behind him though, is Jeff Bruin, 8th spot. He's already gotten ahead of the 9th spot, 8th spot running, previously 8th spot running Troy Britnell, Brits Lightning. Of course, as I said before earlier in the race, the Mercedes not really doing well on its tire life at these races, and that's very unfortunate for all the Mercedes drivers today. Quite quick, the Mercedes is, especially in the corners, so it's quite suited to a track like this, but when you get into a 60-minute endurance race, unfortunately it just doesn't really keep up in terms of the degradation, so not the ideal situation. We're running a little bit wide on turn 4 for the Mercedes drivers today. Not the ideal situation at all, but the Astons, I have to admit, the Aston Martin, especially the way that Monica is driving it, is looking absolutely mighty, but she's fallen off of Matthew Joyntson a bit. She'll need to make a bit of a push. 13 minutes remaining. .33, yes, Robert Rice, his favorite number, 33 in chat from the grandstands, holding up a big number 33. Yeah, Dean van der Zaan is absolutely on a charge right now. He's cut a second in the last couple of laps. Super VT 2000 is going to be needing to make up some pace if she hopes to hold on to that second place position that she so deserves at this point. She's got a little bit of traffic ahead of her, it looks like. Matthew Joyntson off in the lead, disappearing now in that Porsche 911 RSR. He's using all of the tires, even the left side of the tires now taking an absolute beating. Behind them, rookie still not able to make up the time. He's made up 3 seconds on the overall lead, but I did say that 2-stop and the amount of time that you lose in your pit lane, is probably not worth it. The 1-stop looking strong. And from first place it was for Ethan Simmons, now down into 5th. 6 seconds behind Aiden Sampson, who I think is confident on his ability to make it to the end of the race. We're going to be going till about lap 38 or 39 here, I believe. So about 5 or 6 laps left in this race today, and it's all going to heat up towards the end, I hope. I do want to see some cars go through and have some action and some overtaking. Currently, Jeff Bruin, again, doing very, very well to get back up into 7th spot once again. Dylan Scarborough chasing him down from behind. Matt Kuchar in ahead, 7 seconds. So Jeff Bruin with damage, bear in mind. Oh no, and look at that. Dylan is going into the pits, and that is all the pressure now relieved. Jeff Bruin will be breathing a sigh of relief. He can get his head down and finish off this final stint. 10th to 7th place, not a bad effort for him today, I think. Getting ahead of the traffic is Monica Camilleri. But the real standouts at the moment are the Dylan Scarborough Motorsport chaps. Dylan Scarborough obviously going into the pits, so he's run into the same problem as some of the other runners on the grid, having to do 2 stints. Not ideal for them, certainly. You definitely want to be well, you definitely don't want to be doing that if possible, because the 1-stop here is definitely stronger. 30 seconds stronger, in fact, by my calculations, based on the pit stop distance. So you really want to be minimizing the number of pit stops if you can. And look at this, a lovely duet of the Scarborough Motorsport 911 Porsches, that distinct yellow and black livery that they sport. The 777 car of our leader, Matthew Joyntson, PLE Black Friday. A little bit of dirt getting kicked up, but a little bit of a joint effort here towards the end of the race from these two. Potentially just to help Matthew Joyntson solidify that lead. Not that he really needs any help, because the gap now is 7 seconds to Super VT She's doing a great job today for NED Racing. NED Racing will be very happy to take a second place finish, especially after the third place position they got last time out. But with 10 minutes to go, and Dean van der Zandt, a very fast-running Dean van der Zandt behind, only 2.5 seconds now. All the pressure is going on Monica Camilleri. Can she hold it together and keep her focus to keep that second spot? No man's land for Aiden Sampson. Tires starting to wear out, not ideal for him. He'll be struggling towards the end of the race. Lap time still coming down for the rookie. He set another fastest lap here at 21.564. No one else able to sacrifice the tires to get that fastest lap, so the fastest lap will almost certainly go to Ethan. He's been pushing incredibly hard this race. 60 minutes of very intense, very on-the-limit driving. You've got to give him props for that at the end of the day. He's currently running first in the AM category, so for all the AM drivers out there, he is currently in the lead, and the next person behind him is actually Troy Britnell. So a great showing from Troy Britnell here in the AM category. 8th place overall, but a 2nd place AM category finish at this stage. And 3rd position for the AM category is actually going to Chris White. So in 10th spot, he's doing very, very well to position himself for a podium spot for the AM category. That'll be 10th spot overall for him. It'll be interesting to see exactly what happens with Dylan Scarborough. He's on the fast, softer tires now. Fresh set, but I think that was a little bit too late in the race to be jumping back onto the soft tires, and he's got a lot of work to do to catch up to Chris White. 12.5 seconds. And he does need to get out of the way of his teammate at some point soon. Maybe they're going for one more slipstream drag down the pit lane before the position is given up to the leader of this race. There we go. Oh, they're not even going to go for the slipstream. No team orders needed whatsoever, though. It looks like Matthew Joynson is very keen to use as much of that slipstream as possible. Quite happy to run behind Dylan Scarborough. They're going for the dive there. Dylan getting out of the way appropriately of his teammate. Good job from the Scarborough Motorsport chaps. There's that wide line as we're talking about in terms of Andretti. You kind of want to miss that first apex, run wide, and then go into the corner nice and tight, so you get a good exit out and towards the turn 3 and 4. Turn 4, which are coming up to you right now. Very fast right-hander. Very tough on the left tires, but as you can see, the left tires haven't been taking a beating at all this race. It's really been the right-hand sets that have been absolutely brutalized with the style of driving that has been required here today. So Matt Kutscher having a good race at the moment. He qualified a little bit further down the grid, but he's done very well to get back up into 6th spot. I don't think he's got a shot at the top 5 today, unfortunately, with that tire life just dropping off an absolute cliff. Still 4 laps to go in this race, so my prediction of lap 38 was totally wrong. And as always in the commentary box, we don't make predictions here, we make prophecies that turn out to be false. So of course, in the famous words of Murray Walker, who I aspire to be like as much as possible, we do get things wrong here in the commentary box occasionally, and that's what keeps things interesting. But on board now with Super VT, she is getting absolutely chased down by the fast-running Dean van der Zandt behind. We're going to stay on board with this action at the moment because it's all heating up for Monica Camilleri. She's got a lot of pressure, and still 6 minutes to go in this race. Let's see what Dean van der Zandt can do. Dean's had an absolute flyer this race so far. Racing Soft's looking a little bit fresher, a little bit healthier than those ahead of him. He won't be able to catch up with the lead, so he's definitely not in contention for a race lead unless we see a mistake from Matthew Joynson, which is entirely possible at this stage. Hopefully I haven't cursed him. I'm going to touch the wall of wood. Sorry, that's apologies to my flatmate who I've just knocked on the wall for. But yeah, Dean looking very, very strong at the end of this race. He's really conserved his tires. He went even longer than Monica on these tires. Well, actually, they pitted at the same end of the race, but he ended up with more tire life. It seems like he's able to manage the tires just a little bit better than that Aston at the moment. The F-Type Jag looking very, very strong at Laguna Seca today in the chilly weather. Dean doing very, very well. He's putting all the pressure he needs to. 0.4 seconds is the gap between these two. This is for 2nd position in the race. And we've only got 5 minutes remaining, so stay tuned, everyone. Things are about to get very, very interesting at the end of this race. No real competition for the top three, but between the top three, specifically third and second, it is all going down. Monica taking the defensive line into the Andretti corner, covering off and closing the door on Dean van der Zandt, who dives up the inside. Great move from Dean van der Zandt. That pushes Monica wide. That gives her the inside line, though, into turn 3. Great racing between these two. Wide. And onto the gravel goes Dean van der Zandt, not able to find a gap to get past Monica Camilleri. Does he ever look into turn 4? No. Thinks better of it. Going to use the top speed of that F-Type Jag to take it down the rest of the grid towards turn 5. Monica doing a fantastic job, taking the defensive lines. Great driving by both drivers. This is going to be the race to the end. And oh, Dean has just gone for a spinaroo. And that is Dean. He is gone and gone and gone. Let's take another look at that. That is so unlucky for him. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Gets wide into turn 5, misses the apex, goes wide, and then just goes sideways on the track, tries to rejoin, can't hold it, and goes for a spinaroo. That is super, super unlucky. Oh dear. And that's going to put him in range now of Aiden Sampson. It's not going to be healthy for his tires. Monica is now breathing the biggest sigh of relief you can possibly imagine right now. Whew. Wow, she is going to secure that 10th, second place finish there, I believe. Dean just running it a little bit too hot, and now under pressure from Aiden Sampson. Can Aiden Sampson get himself into the top 3 and take a podium position today? He's running a little bit low on tires, I believe. Yes, he is. Low on fuel, though, as well. It's going to be very interesting. The last couple of laps of this race, 3 minutes ago in Laguna Seca for round 5, and Dean running wide, still not getting the gravel off his tires. That's going to give Hellblazer the run through onto turn 3. Thinks better of it. No move into that corner. Turn 4 is next. And then the long straight down to turn 5. This is getting spicy between the top 5 here. Looking down the grid, I'm not seeing too much more action on the grid, so we will stay on board with these two as we get to the last couple of laps of this race. Will the degraded tires of Aiden be able to beat out the faster running but gravel covered tires of Dean van der Zandt ahead of them? Through turn 6 they go, and it looks like Hellblazer is not going to have the pace to keep up with Dean, who was running a lot faster than him. But slipstream could be happening, more mistakes could be happening towards the end of this race. But with so much loss of grip there for Aiden, he's not going to have a great time trying to follow Dean van der Zandt. But let's see, 0.3 is the gap going through Rainy into turn 10. ABS popping into and out of the brakes to make sure that they control the car through these corners and into the braking zones. But the gap just keeps on widening between IMAT and Hellblazer, and that could be the grid. And it looks like we've got another pass, ironically, for Dylan Scarborough on, in fact, not a pass. It looks like Dylan Scarborough is actually just keeping up very, very well with his teammate at the moment. So going on board with him, as you guys can see in front of him, there is his teammate, Matthew Jointson. So the Fresher Racing Softs just keeping Dylan sitting quite quietly behind his teammate, watching what is potentially a race victory for his team in front of him. He'll be absolutely stoked and quite happy to sit behind and watch this happening. So it is a great showing for the chaps in Dylan Scarborough Motorsport today. It doesn't look like Dylan will be able to catch up with Chris White ahead. That would be for 3rd place in the AM category. But he'll take 4th place quite happily, I think. That's a good point still. Matt Kirch up into 5th place. Looks like he's managed to get ahead of the rookie. So the rookie's tires, in fact, no, he hasn't got ahead of him. This is the rookie. He must have fallen behind at some point in the last couple of laps, and now trying to fight his way back in front of the Black Rose Racing car. 51 seconds now left in this race. Oh dear, he gets squiggly, does Matt Kutscher, out of turn 5 and into turn 6. They will be going side by side. Oh, and backs out, tries to go for the switcheroo. Does Ethan Simmons, but it doesn't work for him at all. The door absolutely solidly shut on him, but he's on Racing Softs, nice and fresh. Did he come in for another pit stop? I wonder. That was definitely a few laps ago, but this double stint strategy not working out at all for the rookie, trying to consolidate a 5th place finish. But crikey, what a race we've had today, and the white flag is about to come out on track. We'll stay on board with our leaders very soon, but the top 3 positions basically solidified at this stage. Looking around the rest of the grid, and oh, Wade Rushton, he's having a shocker of a race today. A 0.5 second penalty he's just picked up on this previous lap, lap 40. He's run wide, he's picked up a penalty. The stewards not giving him any respite today. Strike Racetech also not getting any respite, with Mad Rick falling down into 12th spot. He was up in 8th earlier on in the race, but not able to maximize that, sadly. And here we go, onto the final pit straight, flanked by his teammate and team owner Dylan Scarborough. It is PLE Black Friday. Matthew Johnson takes the checkered flag here at round 5. Fantastic job. There was actually a huge accident between the two right at the end there as the final brakes go on. So we will run through the final grid here, but a huge victory there for Matthew Johnson. Congratulations. And a second place victory for Super VT 2000, Monica Camilleri. What a race she has had today. Qualified very high up the grid, did very well, held onto her position, executed her strategy perfectly. Well done to her. And Dean van der Zandt, there he is. He's got 3rd place, up from 6th place earlier on. Behind him, Hellblazer. That's Aiden Sampson with no tyres left on his right front. Behind them, the rookie who was leading his race for a long time, but unable to capitalize on the result. And we will go through the full rest of the grid momentarily, folks. So stay tuned, and we will get back with you very, very soon. But crikey, what an exciting race we've had tonight at Laguna Seca. Round 5 in the Americas for the GT Cup is absolutely popping off at the moment. So, wow. Thoughts, of course, welcome in chat. Please do give your thoughts on the race. I hope everyone's been enjoying tonight's broadcast. And here we go. So, in 1st place, Matthew Johnson. Fantastic race victory for him. 2nd place, Super VT 2000 in the V12 Vantage. Strategy to perfection by her today. Dean van der Zandt, another strategy perfection today from him in the F-Type Jag. Not putting in the pace that he had in qualifying, but finding himself in a podium position today. Aiden Sampson in 4th place, taking good points home for Diffusion Race Engineering. But it is another victory in the AM class for Ethan Simmons, a reserve driver, replacing Robbo, who's the regular AM driver in Diffusion Race Engineering. Earning himself another ton of points there and taking victory in the AM class. Well done to rookie. Matt Kutcher in 6th place. He's done well for Black Rose Racing. That's the result they needed to keep them up in 2nd spot in the championship, in the team championship, I should say. 7th place, Jeff Bruin. He started in 10th. Great drive by him. A couple of big mistakes, and he's done a huge recovery drive to bring himself back into 7th place in the finishing grid. Well done for the Gridline Racing driver. Chops, our privateer, starting off at the top of the grid, qualified 1st, but ended up down in 8th spot. Unfortunately for him, he's just not able to claw back a victory today, but it is what it is, and the privateer will take home a modicum of points. Troy Britnell, Brits Lightning for Black Rose Racing, another good result for him. 2nd, I believe, in the AM category, so congratulations to him. That's a bunch of points. Thank you very much, everyone in chat saying great call, great racing viewing tonight. Thank you very much. Awesome race driver of the day, Super VT. That was great defense. Agreed. And we'll talk about driver of the day momentarily, so stay tuned. But I do want everyone's thoughts. Please do let me know who you think is your driver of the day. I'd love to take a little bit of a tally before I give you my thoughts on the DOTD today. So in 10th spot, it is Chris White, takes 3rd spot in the AM category championship today. Great drive from him for WTCR. Miles away from the positions that he's gained last time out, and some great overtaking and taking advantage of some of the, let's say, slightly less unfortunate drivers behind him. The F-Type Jag proving to be pretty strong here on the long run, just not having any qualifying pace. In 11th spot, 4th in the AM class, it is Dylan Scarborough, team owner of Scarborough Motorsports in the 911 RSR. Great job by him today. 12th spot goes to Mad Rick. Another poor showing, sadly, for Strike Racetech in the Mercedes AMG. Looks like he had a couple of spins throughout today's race. He'll bag some points, but he's definitely helped some of the AM class drivers above him, Mad Rick being a Pro-Am driver, get some extra points today. 13th spot goes to the 2nd place runner's teammate in NED Racing, that is Karma Foster. Done a great job in the V12 Vantage today. 14th spot to Tim Piers for Strike Racetech. Again, not the result they were looking today. And last but not least, it is Wade Rushton, involved in a big spin at Andretti and just did not have the pace here on the long stint. So 15th spot overall to him for Gridline Racing, and an overall good showing for the team. Not the result they wanted, but they'll be coming back for round 6. Keen to gain more points. Staying in Americas, of course. But like I said, we will go to our logo screen, and we will be rounding out this this stream with a couple of ads from our sponsors and all of that. But nonetheless, we need to talk first about driver of the day. So, who is driver of the day? I think Monica did have a fantastic race today. She definitely defended well, but she qualified quite high in the position. I think at the end of the day, my vote for driver of the day was actually Dean van der Zandt today, I think. The main reason being that he started in 6th place, did not have the pace whatsoever, but was able to execute his strategy to absolute perfection, taking advantage of the slower runner cars ahead of him, and doing the one-stop strategy. He even spun on the track and was still able to get 3rd place back in the race. So my driver of the day today is going to go to Dean van der Zandt. Congratulations to him today. But an excellent race overall for all the drivers on the grid. What a fantastic race we've had here today at the MotorMotion E-Series Player1 Sim Gear GT3 Championship Round 5 at Laguna Seca. What a race. It's been fantastic. We're going to start rounding out the stream now, folks, so thank you all for tuning in to the live broadcast here. It has been my absolute pleasure to bring you tonight's broadcast and action on track. My name is George Cooke, also known as Crazy Good Kung Fu. Next round is on the 16th of May. At round 6 is Watkins Glen International as we pass the halfway mark in our GT3 Championship. Let's see what's going to happen in the next 5 races of our season. See you in a couple of weeks, folks. Take care. Remember, next week is the TCR Cup Round 2. Please join us live on YouTube once again for that race. It has been my pleasure bringing you the action tonight. Take care. Thank you very much to everyone in chat. Stay safe out there, and we will, as always, see you next time. Thank you very much. Good night.